CEO Alex has discovered where mother and daughter Tuna are living. But will Tuna agree to leave her current life behind and follow him to the farm? Or will she stay with Adam and Mrs. Tang, the people who have supported her all this time? With a deep and sincere love for Tuna, CEO Alex is determined not to give up easily. He is willing to do whatever it takes to convince her and her daughter to return to him, offering them a brighter new life. But will his efforts be enough to convince Tuna to change her mind? Or will she choose to stay with those who have helped her through the difficult times? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any thrilling moments in the unexpected journey of CEO Alex and the single mother Tuna. The twists ahead will surely keep you glued to the screen after Tuna and her daughter left the farm. CEO Alex relentlessly searched everywhere, but despite his best efforts, all his searches proved to be in vain. He felt as though all hope had vanished. Returning home with a face full of sadness and anxiety, Alex walked into his office, a place where he usually found peace during his hectic work hours. But today, his desk seemed unable to soothe the overwhelming sorrow rising within him. He sat with his head hung low, staring blankly into the empty space, as if unable to believe that Tuna and her daughter had left him. Desperation drained him of any strength to think further. While everything felt like a nightmare, he quietly poured beer into a glass and drank hurriedly as though seeking some relief from the bitterness of the alcohol. He wasn't drinking to get drunk. He just wanted to numb the anxiety and sadness weighing down on him, to temporarily forget the loss he felt, as he couldn't find any information about Tuna and her daughter. It seemed as though exhaustion had consumed his mind, and in that moment, only the emptying cans of beer could momentarily calm the raging waves inside him. Yet the drunken haze couldn't mask the emptiness he was experiencing. He couldn't shake off the sense of failure and helplessness from not being able to find any news about Tuna and her daughter. At that moment, Alex's older sister, the person he always turned to in times of difficulty, walked in. Seeing him in this state, she was both surprised and deeply worried. Before her stood not the young, handsome, and decisive CEO everyone knew, but a man who seemed almost lifeless. His slumped posture and hollow gaze filled her with sorrow. Without saying a word, she gently took away the empty beer cans, as if trying to rid him of everything that would cause him to sink deeper into despair. She couldn't let him continue to drown in this fatigue. She helped him out of the chair, carefully placed him on the bed, and tucked him in. Her worried sighs echoed in the quiet room. She hoped that when Alex woke up, the haze of drunkenness would have passed, and his mind would be clearer, allowing him to see things with fresh eyes. She hoped that a good sleep would restore his strength and spirit, so he could continue the search for Tuna and her daughter, not just for love, but for the perseverance and hope he still carried within. As she turned to leave the room, a thought crossed her mind. Would Alex's search end in failure? Or would he find light after this darkness? Only time would tell, but she knew that no matter what, her brother would never give up. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight gently streamed through the window, awakening the quiet room, Alex was still deep in sleep after a long night lost in alcohol. Suddenly, the phone rang, breaking the silence. Alex's expression changed immediately, his eyes wide open, full of hope. He thought that maybe this was news about Tuna and her daughter. Perhaps they had finally contacted him. However, when he looked at the phone screen, the smile faded instantly. It was his secretary calling, asking him to come to the office to handle some important company matters. In reality, these tasks were not what he had hoped for at this moment. He needed information about Tuna more than ever, but work was the only thing he could focus on for now. With heavy steps, Alex slowly got out of bed, his body tired and drained. The beers from the previous night hadn't helped him forget his sorrow. Instead, they only deepened his mood. He could no longer bear the feeling of helplessness from not being able to find Tuna and her daughter. His anxiety and unease about them clung to him, refusing to let go. As he stepped outside, the sunlight fell on his shoulders, but it seemed unable to lighten the weight in his heart. On his way to the office, Alex's expression never lost its worry. With every step, he took every thought about Tuna, and her daughter made him feel as though he was lost in the darkness. He just wanted to find them, bring them back to him, but it seemed like all his previous efforts had been in vain. Tuna and her daughter were still nowhere to be found, and the longing, the worry about them haunted him throughout the journey. Though he tried to focus on his work, Alex couldn't shake the images of Tuna and the unanswered questions in his mind. Was she safe? Did she need him as much as he longed to be by her side with her daughter? These questions kept swirling in his mind, relentlessly invading his thoughts, making it impossible for him to think of anything else but them. Suddenly, a major turning point occurred. While CEO Alex was working at the company, an unexpected phone call completely changed the tense, heavy atmosphere that had lingered before. The phone rang, and when Alex looked at the screen, he realized it was a call from the police. Suddenly, his heart seemed to stop, his face tensed, unsure if the authorities had finally found any information about Tuna and her daughter. He picked up the phone and answered. A calm voice from the other end of the line said, "We have found Ms. Tuna." Those words were like a wave of hope crashing into his heart. His face immediately broke into a smile he hadn't felt in a long time, after so many days of worry and hopeless waiting. All the emotions that had been building up inside him were suddenly released. Finally, after everything he had received news about Tuna, without hesitation, CEO Alex left the company and headed straight to the location where the police had called him. His heart pounded, and it felt like it was going to leap out of his chest. But inside, there was also an overwhelming sense of nameless anxiety. Could it really be Tuna? Was she safe? Could everything he had hoped for finally become a reality? Throughout the journey, his thoughts kept swirling in his mind. The images of Tuna and her daughter never stopped flashing in his head, and he longed for just one thing: to be reunited with them, to hold them in his arms and protect them from all the difficulties ahead. While his heart was filled with hope, he couldn't help but fear the possible obstacles that might arise. He wondered, would Tuna still remember him? Would she still want to come back to him? When CEO Alex arrived from a distance, he saw the figure of a woman cutting grass by the roadside. That figure was very familiar. And no, it could not be mistaken. It was Tuna. A strong emotion surged within him, and he couldn't contain his excitement. He immediately stopped. The car ran quickly toward the woman and called out her name. His heart raced, and it felt as if time had slowed down. When Tuna turned around, her face was full of astonishment. She couldn't believe her eyes when she saw CEO Alex. Both of them stood frozen, as if they couldn't believe each other's presence. Alex's heart was full of anticipation and joy, but there was also some hesitation. Unable to hold back his emotions, he quickly moved toward her and embraced Tu-na tightly. Tears of happiness flowed down his face, tears that could not fully express the joy and relief he felt at finally finding her. With a choked voice, CEO Alex continuously apologized to Tu-na, feeling the weight of guilt for not being able to protect her and her daughter during all this time. He asked about her life after leaving the farm, and Tu-na shared with him what had happened since she decided to leave with her daughter. She spoke about the hardships, the tough decisions she had to make, but also about the love and support she received from those around her. Tu-na led CEO Alex to her current home where they met Mrs. Tang, who had treated her like family and helped take care of her and her daughter throughout this time. Mrs. Tang looked at CEO Alex with understanding, but also with some concern. After a moment of silence, CEO Alex asked Mrs. Tang for permission to take Tu-na and her daughter back to the farm where he would take care of them and help create a better life for them. Tu-na sat next to him, her eyes fixed on Alex, a thoughtful look in her gaze. She didn't respond immediately, only quietly observed him, as if considering what he had just said. Would Tu-na agree to return with CEO Alex to the farm to start a new life? Or would she choose to stay here with Mrs. Tang, where she had found some peace after so many struggles? The journey between CEO Alex and Tu-na is far from over. Important decisions await them, and Alex's love, sacrifice, and patience, will they be enough to convince Tu-na to return to him? Where will their story lead as the past and the future intertwine and crucial choices remain to be made? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the thrilling and dramatic moments in the story of CEO Alex and the single mother, Tu-na. The emotional surprises ahead will keep you glued to the screen.
Nick đã phát hiện ra nơi con tụi Na đang sinh sống, nên việc Na có đồng ý rời xa cuộc sống hiện tại để theo anh về trang trại, hay vẫn tiếp tục ở bên Adam và Tăng, những người bên cạnh cô suốt thời gian qua. Về tình yêu sâu đậm dành cho tụi Na, theo Nick quyết định không dễ dàng bỏ cuộc. Anh sẵn sàng làm mọi chuyện để thuyết phục cô con bé quay về bên mình và dẫn cuộc sống với tươi sáng hơn. Nhưng điều này luôn được đấy, nếu sự là thay đổi quyết định, hay cô sẽ chọn ở nơi những người đã từng sống với cô trong suốt khoảng thời gian khó khăn. Hãy ấn đăng ký và bật chuông thông báo để theo dõi bất kỳ tình tiết nào trong chuyện đấy, nhờ bọc keo ấn và người mẹ đơn thân của Na.